Outstanding. Thank you, everyone, for joining us this evening. There'll be some folks hopping in probably a minute late or so. And any of you that need to go throughout the presentation, you will not be punished for doing so, understanding that everyone has plenty of things going on, probably after a long day of work. So we will definitely keep it tight here this evening. And let's begin with a couple of introductions. Dr. Ogston.
Yes, hi everyone. Welcome to the College of St. Scholastica, the tDPT program informational session. I'm Gina Ogston, as Chad mentioned, and I have been the director of this program for about 8 years, but I have been teaching in this program for about 17. So I teach evidence-based practice series. I love that content. I'm also the evidence-based practice SIG chair within the Academy of Research and also on the board of the Academy of Research as well. So you can see where my interest lies. I have truly, truly enjoyed being in this program for the past 17 years, as I mentioned. It just has been incredibly rewarding and probably the most rewarding thing that I've done throughout my career, which there has been a good handful of highlights. So glad you came here tonight. Please ask questions. That's what we're here for. And I'll go ahead and hand it off to Chad.
Thanks, Dr. Ogston. And I'm Dr. Ogston's partner in crime. The two of us run this program. We're super duper excited about it. We're super proud, which is probably why we're the best program in the country. We're two competitive individuals that want to be number one. And that's what you'll be hearing about this evening. My role here at the college and TU is the admissions director for this program. So I'm the one after this meeting to help you still learn a little bit more about the program, maybe make application and get you through that front door. So definitely here to support you and excited for the next few minutes here. And although we have a few people here, we can't do individual introductions. We would like to just welcome all of you. Thank you for joining us. We often have PTs and physios from all over the world joining us in these sessions. So it really expands that global view of the profession and our colleagues out there. And really just to kind of prove that we've created each year, we keep this updated. It will continue to grow now for the next year, but this shows where our students are from, and obviously the lion's share here in the United States. Not necessarily all born and raised here. Many have come here from elsewhere, but also PTs and professionals from all over the world currently enrolled in our program, and again, really enhancing that experience in the classroom with that common thread of physical therapy amongst all of you. And our agenda for the evening. So like I said, we'll keep it tight. We will definitely leave question and answer time at the end. So if you wouldn't mind just saving your questions, we may address them through our presentation. You may come up with additional questions as we present. We will have plenty of time at the end, and we will read those aloud to the group and answer them so everyone can benefit from the Q&A session. We'll talk about the College of St. Scholastica, just generally speaking. I'll cover definitely all the details about the transitional program here and what you can expect. Dr. Ogston will cover student support services and kind of the experiential piece of what it's like to be a doctoral student of ours. I'll talk about the application process and then Q&A at the end. And just as far as housekeeping, if you wouldn't mind just keeping your microphone on mute throughout the presentation, just to avoid the background noise. So, the College of St. Scholastica, CSS for short. We were founded in 1912. We're in northern Minnesota. It was a group of pioneering Catholic Benedictine sisters that came to this region of the United States to really help the poor and the powerless through their missionary work. With that, the college began as a women's school. It was originally started with nursing. We evolved more into healthcare. Now we also deal with items of education and business, but really known as a health science and nursing campus. We've been offering the entry-level PT since the 60s. This program dates back about as far as it could. About 18 years ago, we started the transitional program. We are private, we are not for profit. Our undergraduate curriculum is that of a liberal arts nature. Here in Duluth, Minnesota is our two brick and mortar campus locations. Obviously the dormitories, the athletic facilities, the classrooms. But with that, on campus, we have the entry-level DPT, occupational therapy, physician assistant, nurse practitioner, and so much more. So geographically speaking, just so you can envision where we are, we're in the heart there. That's Duluth, Minnesota, right on the shores of Lake Superior, which is said to be the greatest of the Great Lakes, not far from the border of Canada. And then just in reference, about 2.5 hour drive north from Minneapolis and St. Paul, our capital of Minnesota. And then just a few hours away from Rochester there down south, which is home of the main Mayo Clinic campus. A few of our accolades and accreditations, you'll find that we will check all of the boxes that you need and that you're looking for. We're accredited by the Higher Learning Commission and a member of the North Central Association. The tDPT program that we're talking about tonight is approved by the American Physical Therapy Association, and it is tied to our CAPTE accredited entry-level DPT program that's served here on our campus. That's for the aspiring DPTs. And for any of you trained outside of the United States, whether you're here licensed or coming on the way, this will make a little bit more sense to you. Our coursework is approved by FCCPT. That's the Foreign Credentialing Commission on Physical Therapy. And it is approved to meet certain content areas that those may need. So before we get into the beef here, it is really a kind of a different experience here, and maybe that of your undergraduate experience, maybe different than your work experience. Here, we really are driven by our Catholic Benedictine values of community, hospitality, respect, stewardship, and the love of learning. And it's not necessarily a religious environment, although we are Catholic by nature, but it is that value system that really shapes the experience of our students and really helps people join into our community. And it's especially important for you to know because, you're looking at a school here, other than this, kind of sight unseen. So it's important for you to know that your experience here will be that of value. You will get to know people, you will be part of our community, and you'll share in these values yourself because we all work in concert with them. And two, we have a lot of different backgrounds in this meeting, in our classrooms, and we really do embrace the inclusive excellence and really identifying that as a key part of academic excellence and that whole experience in that online classroom. So the specific details of our transitional DPT program, it is really truly 100% online. There is not a 1 week or weekend intensive here on our campus. You will be able to complete this from where you're sitting right now. It is 6 courses, 16 credits to complete. That's the same for somebody with a baccalaureate degree in PT or a master's degree, domestically trained or foreign trained. It's asynchronous, so you're online, but you're not alone. The asynchronous piece is to accommodate the busy adult professional schedule that you all probably maintain as we speak, but yet it's engaging. And that goes back to those Benedictine values and especially that of community, that you will get to know people, you will feel supported here. And a lot of people even feel sometimes that this is more engaged than their previous educational experiences. And with that, we have small class sizes. So each of your individual courses, when you're in pharmacology, You'll have no more than 24 PTs in your class, and obviously with each one being led by a live faculty, a real person. So you will get to know people, you will build your professional network, and people really like that. They get to kind of co-learn and see what their colleagues are doing around the world and around the country. The curriculum that we'll look at a little more closely was built on the APTA's curricular guide for transitional programs. So it's really intended to cover what just basically had come up in the profession in the last 10, 15 years, and especially when we transitioned to DPT as the entry level degree. And something very really specific to our program, something very different. We really allow and encourage each individual to tailor the work and the reading that you'll do to your area of practice or your interest areas. So we're not going to make you write a paper on orthopedics. You can focus on peds. You can focus on women's health, what it is that's most meaningful to you. And that's something truly special about our program. So as far as completion time, like I said, the 6 courses, those could be finished in as little as 1 year. 2 years tends to be a bit more typical to not interfere with what you've got going on already as far as career, family, and leisure. And you can take longer if you'd like, whether that's for financial reasons or for just taking breaks or vacations or emergencies. So 3, 4, 5 years is totally doable as well. Kind of plan on, at least about 8 hours per week of school-related work when taking one course. So always kind of identify that formula when you're figuring out your bandwidth and balancing school if you decide to join us. There's 3 entry points per year every fall, spring, and summer. The semesters that we work on are about 15, 16 weeks in length, very typical to a traditional school calendar if you have kids in college or in high school, quite similar to that sort of environment. And then something quite unique, we do have a commencement ceremony that we hold here on our campus. Dr. Oxton.
Yes, great. Thank you, Chad. That was a great introduction. And I always feel like the end goal is a really good visual image to see. What does it look like to achieve that DPT degree? And here's just one image of just one of our graduations. That this one was hosted in the wintertime. That's our president on the left-hand side. I am on her left. And I would say that it is very typical that each graduation we have at least 50% of our students graduating attend. And why is that? I really feel personally it's because they felt a part of a community, which is definitely our number one goal, within our program is to really focus on those incorporating those Benedictine values and creating that community amongst all of us. We have, as Chad mentioned and showed on that map, we have students from all around the world, and it is just truly amazing to learn from each other that way. We also host an open house every year where we can gather before our official graduation. And so these are just a couple more pictures. On the bottom left, that was actually a woman, just don't always rely on Ubers. She was at graduation, thought she would catch an Uber, and they were all taken. So she ended up renting a scooter in her graduation gown. And it's just 2 miles down to graduation down by the lake. And so she flew down on her scooter in her graduation gown. I just love that picture and that photo. But we were a big part of her day. It was so much fun. And then the bottom right picture, really, I have to just bring forth that we have a lot of graduates that stay in touch with us and let us know what they're doing. And this certain graduate, he said he is on the board of physical therapy in Colorado and said he would have never thought to have even joined that venture if it wasn't for our program, just really learning about advanced practice and just kind of seeing himself as an autonomous practitioner and a leader in his state. So really proud of him, and we hear from many of our graduates. And so you can always hear those stories, you can find us on Facebook. That's kind of our logo picture. You can tell that we have our tower image quite often in some of these pictures. That actually was the original campus that was built by our sisters and finished in 1912. So, there's everyone comes to the program with different ideas of complete and goals of this transitional program. And, a lot of it has to do with my colleagues have a DPT degree. I would like to have one too. That's a large reason. Actually, your credits that you work on here in our college can also double dip as continuing education credits. So you got to check your state, but the majority of states you'll have far exceed the number of credits that you would need per year. So that's kind of a double dipper that way. It also helps you to interact, network, get to know people from all over the nation, all over the world, with your colleagues, faculty. We actually, each of us, host Zoom meetings every semester. They're optional. You don't have to attend, but it's a great way for you to get to know us as your professors as well as your classmates. And always, you have a free Zoom account, all the Google Suite that comes along with being a student here. That really helps you to interact and get to know your community. So we hope, obviously, that will help to enhance your clinical confidence. I know in my class, evidence-based practice, that students will say even just a few weeks into the course, I have so many skills I'm learning. I'm already feeling more confident about what I do. I've been looking up articles related to my practice, and I'm feeling more confident that way. And as far as teaching goes, in order, CAPT requires every educator, a full-time educator, to have a DPT degree or a post-professional degree. So that's a reason that many students have come through are joining our program. And then some are still working on their FCCPT requirements, which I've worked closely over the past, 8 years with FCCPT to kind of make sure that our classes are very clearly representing and meeting those content requirements. And then, of course, next slide, Chad, that we are aligning with Vision 2020. And you think, well, Vision 2020, that was 5 years ago. Well, we still haven't quite met it within our profession. I'm very involved in APTA, as I previously mentioned, and it is just being discussed. Like, we just haven't quite got there yet. We just don't have autonomous PT practice quite yet. It's coming slowly. I think I just heard that the state of California now is recognizing that more so than the other states, and with direct access, and that we are really developing in you. That's part of what we really want you to learn, is how to be a lifelong learner. And one of our mottos here and one of the Benedictine values is the love of learning. And really, you will feel that throughout your education at St. Scholastica. And evidence-based practice might have to be my favorite, right? Is how do we support what we're doing in outcome measures, diagnostic accuracy, interventions, understanding all of that, especially now that we have so much to understand, all of that literature, and that we're the practitioner of choice, which I think we're getting there. I hear in podcasts all the time, well, you should have a physical therapist. So hopefully we're becoming a little bit more popular that way. And just the professionalism piece that we will discuss and is integrated and threaded throughout our program. I know I teach in both programs, so half of my job is on campus. I've been on campus actually now for nearly 24 years, and so I have half and half time job, but it really helps me understand what we're teaching in the traditional program and then bring that over to the transitional program. Just really important. There are other programs that run completely independently, and I'm really proud of that fact that we really truly develop that understanding. And I provide ideas to the traditional program, and they provide that ideas back to us. So it's really a great partnership that we have, and we're really fortunate to have that we're not running completely independent of a CAPT accredited program. So our program courses there are 6 of them, as Chad mentioned. We have pharmacology, diagnostic imaging, health policy and promotion, differential screening, everyone's favorite, evidence-based practice. And then our last course is professional integration. I think most of those titles kind of speak for themselves, except professional integration is kind of like a capstone, which most graduate, if not all, kind of has some form of ending capstone experience. And that's just something where you will take these skills that you developed in all the other classes and apply them into a final project. And that's really self-derived. And that's a little bit of something within all of our classes. We really constantly, every week, you're going to be reflecting on your own clinical practice, not mine, not your neighbors, not orthopedics, not neurology, but rather where you're at in your clinical practice and or where your interests lie. We have many students who say, you know what, I'm in home health right now, but I'm hoping to get to acute care or orthopedic. So I'm going to be looking up and engaging in more conversation related to where I want to be. And so it's our job to then help to get you where your goals are. So we use, it's called an LMS or Learning Management System of Brightspace. Brightspace was actually originally developed for elementary school children, which I would think, that dummies it down. I'm going to tell you, I need it. I'm not a young one anymore. And this technology system is really straightforward, easy to use, and we have hardly had any complaints at all with the use of Brightspace. So both on the instructor side, the student side, it is a really easy navigable system. And then another thing that I feel is very unique about our program is that we have a lot of student support services. We're a small college, and so if you have a question, it's going to get answered. And hopefully within a few hours, not a few days. So we have a student advisor who's just dedicated to our program. She will help create a personalized course plan, assist you with course selection. Of course, there's just 6 of those, but she'll help you with different questions like related to financial aid or library, all those kind of questions. We also have a writing center that is specifically guided for students. If you haven't written a paragraph in a while, or we don't have a lot of papers in this program, I will say that. Like we just don't do a lot of papers because we're a clinical program, right? The tDPT is an entry-level clinical degree. It's not an academic degree. So, but we do have a writing center. Many of our students will utilize the writing center as well. And then we also have an online librarian. She is just fantastic. She'll actually meet with students in the evening. She's just really energetic, very knowledgeable about helping you navigate our library system, because once you become textbooks, but also almost any article that you would ever dream of getting, because that's part of a benefit of being a student at St. Scholastica. And kind of new, we have just started this semester of academic coaching. So if you're having a hard time navigating Brightspace, or you just are kind of nervous about learning and being in this online environment, we have an academic coaching center that will provide you one-on-one coaching. So you can meet with them via Zoom, and they'll help you out on whatever it is you feel like your needs are. And then support that I use quite often, because my last name is not HP or what are some other, Apple. That I always need a little bit of help with my computer, maybe it's software, and they are available 24/7. It is amazing to have them, right at your fingertips. And all of this is free, so that's part of being a part of the St. Scholastica community.
Great, thanks.
You, Chad.
So I'll take it from here. We'll talk about some of the pathways into our program, the different levels of eligibility. Kind of how we started this program was very traditional for the US licensed PT to kind of backfill those baccalaureate and master's level PTs to have degree parity with the new graduates today, whether US trained or foreign trained. We've grown though from there. So we still have the US licensed PT all the time, but we also have those that are trained outside the United States and seeking US PT licensure, or licensed in the US, trained outside, but trying to get an additional state license. So maybe you're trying to satisfy FCCPT deficiencies, either specific courses or subjects, or perhaps the need for a DPT to satisfy those immigration sort of expectations. And we have those two that are prepping for the NPTE. So have satisfied or in the means of or in the process of satisfying all the requirements, and just filling in a few of those extra deficiency areas that are required to appear for the NPTE. And then we have quite a few now and a growing number of those PTs that are practicing outside of the United States that otherwise don't have access to a doctoral clinical degree in the profession. But they want to take it to the next level. They want to elevate the profession in their region and elevate themselves professionally. And there's plenty of those in the program as well. And for any of you that do decide to move forward, as far as our application process is concerned, we do have a free online application. It's pretty simple. It's linked here, also available on our website. The first thing you want to do, just because it takes a little time, is those of you trained inside the United States would order your official transcripts. And I would just need your PT degree and not your previous baccalaureate degree in athletic training or your prerequisites for PT school. Just the PT degree official transcript, and you would contact your school and have that sent over. For those of you trained outside of the United States, I would either need a copy of your credential evaluation, which would be FCCPT or a few other companies that do those. And for those of you that will remain outside of the country to practice and use this degree, copies of your foreign transcripts will be sufficient. The final requirement for everyone, no matter where you are, is a short essay, and that's really just us looking to learn a little bit more about you, why you'd like to do this, what your motivations are, make sure it's the right fit, and then a copy of your resume or CV. The applications are received and reviewed on a rolling basis. So ultimately, you can apply for any term at any time. When your file is complete with all of the materials, Dr. Ogston will review your file, make the final decision, and that typically comes within a week or so. From that point, if you're accepted into our program, you still have plenty of flexibility. Absolutely understand that you'll always be treated as a professional adult through this entire process. So if you decide to defer your enrollment to a later semester, you may do so. If you change your mind altogether, you may do so. So ultimately, we're here to support you through the process, not to force you into anything and make it difficult. For those of you that are applying from within the United States, the official transcripts from your school still can take a little while. It's like that started in COVID and kind of never ended. We understand that, and with a verified license, your transcripts can come later, and we'll proceed with the review of your application file. Excuse me. As far as deadlines and due dates, our next term starting, and we still have space, will be this summer. The classes will start in mid-May with a May 2nd application deadline. We start next after that in early September with August 23 as a deadline. And then the spring start, although it's the middle of winter, especially up here, it ends in spring. We'll be starting in mid-January with a December 15th deadline. So as you can see, it's always just a few weeks out from each start. Pretty easy going, but like I said, rolling up until those deadlines as well as far as admissions process. Program cost, we're pretty specific and pretty transparent with this. We are $832 per credit. It's a total of 16 credits over those 6 courses. So that comes out to a little over $13,000 total tuition. In addition to that, our minimal fees, there's an average $40 per course technology fee, and that's in support of that computer help desk and some of those other resources. And then there's an extremely minimal textbook cost. There's one to purchase. The rest of the textbooks are offered online, complimentary, through a quite comprehensive suite that we have to offer. The payment, it is pay as you go by the credit per semester. So for instance, when you're in the 2 credit diagnostic imaging course, your tuition, my math would be 1664 for that semester. It's due in the first week of class, which is still the add drop period. But a lot of our PTs pay with either cash or credit. They will go on the payment plan, which is 0%, allows you to at least make a few installments over the term. There are still student loans available for those of you that would be interested in that as well. And then again, back to those FCCPT courses. So of course, our 6 courses in our core curriculum for our transitional program are approved by FCCPT to meet certain areas. But then we've also developed some additional courses, and this will make obviously the most sense to those of you trained outside the United States. These were built by Dr. Ogston to satisfy many of the most common deficient areas that foreign trained PTs are seeing in their evaluations. So we have exam and evaluation for the foreign trained PT. We have an online wound debridement course and a new course called Professional Topics, which was designed by Dr. Ogston to satisfy many of the most difficult subjects to find, like supervision of support staff, discharge or discon, documentation. So if you're in that situation, obviously it's something more specific just to you, you're welcome to reach out to me and we can look through your FCCPT and identify how we can help you best. And before we end our presentation here and go into the question and answer, I do want to just make myself available for one-on-one phone calls or Zoom sessions. We'll transition into Q&A. Either sometimes we won't get to everybody's. Sometimes it's something so specific that we'd want to wait for a one-on-one. Sometimes you're too shy or you forget to ask something. Don't be afraid to contact me. I'm happy to help you out. That's why I'm here. And it's actually one of the most fun parts of my job. So do connect with me. I love it. I will end the presentation here in just a sec. And while I'm doing so, I'll talk about the procedure for the Q&A. Mine's at the bottom. Sometimes it's at the top. There's a sort of a navigation bar in your Zoom. There's a chat function in there. Just click on that. And if you see, you can type in. We have enough people here that unless you absolutely have to, like if you're on your iPhone or phone, maybe a tablet, if you have to voice in, you may do so with a question. But otherwise, we'll do typed ones. If you wouldn't mind addressing them to everyone so they can read, and we will read them aloud and answer them so everyone can benefit from those questions. So I'd like to open it up right now. What is there, about 18, 17 folks in here? Yeah, so bring us your questions.
Thank you, Chad. And just while we're waiting for a few questions to come in, a couple things I wanted to add was our classes are offered every single semester. So let's just say something comes up in your life and you really wanted to take diagnostic imaging that next semester, it will be offered the next. That's one thing about our program. We have so many students that allows us to offer each class every single semester. So it's 3 times a year. And so that's a really nice thing for you. You don't have to wait a full year to maybe get that course because it's only offered in the fall semester. The other thing I just wanted to elaborate a little bit more on as well is our textbook system. So, when Chad mentioned we only have one textbook right now, and I don't think it will change that you are required to purchase. Otherwise, all of our textbooks are in an online system that the college pays for. So they're all free. And for those of you that don't like online textbooks, they're nice because you can search for things, Control F, and you can go find whatever you want. But if you like to sit down and scribble or cross out maybe some pages, you can download the PDFs of the textbook and then print them out. So there is that option as well. But we don't really have hidden cost. So I know for the traditional programs, we've been comparing our cost of our traditional DP on campus program with others. And, we really are very transparent with our fees where other schools aren't. And so it can be a little bit misleading that way, but that's what you get. And that online system, it's through F.A. Davis and McGraw-Hill. So we have access to hundreds of textbooks, not just the ones you're going to use in class, but hundreds of them, online NPT study manuals, and then also to access medicine, which is a whole nother slew of textbooks. So it's really an amazing system that way. So great. All right, we'll go ahead with some questions.
Yep.
So yeah,
Yeah,
yes.
I'll take the first one since it's admissions related. And Pramisha asks, for someone who's in graduate school, 4 to 5 year program here in the States, when do you think would be the best time to prepare the application, assuming for our transitional program? So, just basically leading up to the semester that you'd like to join us. Keep in mind those 3 starts. The application comes together so quickly, and our review process is so fast. Again, really, we're not intimidating. We're recognizing all of you as busy working adult clinicians, professionals, and again, treating you as such. So, when you're ready to apply, when you're getting close to the term that you'd like to join us, apply, send in your application, and again, understand once you're admitted into our program, if anything comes up with your existing program or you get put off graduation for a year or a semester, you can defer your enrollment with us. Your acceptance is good for 1 year. So it's really quite flexible. So Pramisha, I know that's a pretty general type answer, but really we're flexible, and we're ready for you when you're ready.
All right,
Thank
I'll
you,
take the
Axel.
next one from
Yeah.
Kathleen. So, what does a typical week look like for virtual class? Will there be live classes? And if so, what is the time? So, a typical week is it's kind of on at your own pace, but per week. I don't want to make it sound like it's per semester, right? You just complete the work in one semester. And the reason for that is because every week we have discussion boards where you might be talking with your classmates, you're learning from your classmates. Your instructors will be in to give you feedback and also being a part of that discussion every single week. So our units, I think in almost every class, differential screening has some longer units, a few weeks, and professional integration is that way as well. But otherwise, every week, usually there's something to complete, whether it's assignment, discussion board, a quiz. Those are all online. And then you asked about live classes. We offer optional Zoom sessions. I know for my class, I offer 4 to 5 a semester. They're kind of scattered throughout the semester. Most of mine are review sessions. We also have an intro night, but they're optional. And the reason for that, we have students in this program from all over the world, all different time zones. I don't want anyone to be getting up at 2 a.m. feeling like they need to attend class. So we want to make it inclusive for everyone. And also, we have people who actually work into the evenings sometimes with clinical work. And so, they're optional, and almost always we record them. So if you weren't able to make a Zoom session, then we record them so you can watch them later. But like Chad said, really every week, it is about 8 hours a week. So I know you think, oh, I can do it faster than that. You probably can, but you may not be getting as much out of what we are offering to you with that. So there's some reading of your textbooks, background reading, supplementary material. In my class, well, most classes have online voice lectures that you are listening to, different units and on the topic. So yes, I think that covered it.
I'll take the
And then
next
I
one
think, yes,
real
great.
quick. Just asking if one has to have passed the NPT to enroll in the program, and that is not required. Uh, Again, our courses a lot of times are used in that preparation, to satisfy the requirements to do so. So the NPTE is not required to have passed. And ultimately, those are most folks that have not are preparing to do so, and again, using our program to assist in that process.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're here to help those people. I was actually an NPT exam writer. Was inducted to the board exam Hall of Fame, I think, because I wrote so many darn questions. Whew. But anyway, so we really do write our questions, try to be at a higher level to help to prepare those who haven't taken it quite yet, that way. All right, so then Kushbu asks, how did the examinations take place? Well, there's just so many different learning opportunities and ways to demonstrate your learning. So, as I mentioned, We have multiple choice quizzes, open-ended quizzes. We're starting to incorporate more video in some of our classes to demonstrate your learning. Every week is different. And every class is different. So there might be demonstration of your knowledge of interpretation of a diagnostic image, of an X-ray or a CAT scan, something like that. So it's all quite a variety. And I feel like that's a lot different than online CEUs because online CEUs is just you go in and you listen and you take a quiz. You go in and you listen and you take a quiz. And this is much different. There's just a wide variety of assessment and definitely interaction that occurs. When you take an online CEUs, it's just one way delivery. So good. All right, Jeff, Chad, you want to take the next one?
Yep, yep. I have one. There's two. I have one that direct messaged me and another one here with Kathy.
Okay.
So asking, the foreign trained, been working in the USA 16 years, another one 20 years. I have these old SCCPT evaluations. Do I have to get reevaluated? And you do not. So ideally, if you make application with us, I would want a copy of that old FCCPT. So maybe that's in a file cabinet somewhere collecting dust. If so, I would love to see a copy of that. If not, and I get that all the time, there's things that happen, and it's a piece of paper that's 16 or 20 years old. If that's the case, obviously with a verified license, I can take just copies of your foreign transcripts. So ultimately, Dr. Oxen and I operate one way. We're making this very accessible. We still have to just satisfy the requirements of our college and our registrar, the people in those records offices. So wherever you're at, as far as the point in your career, you do not have to get reevaluated. The paperwork that you'll furnish me is either the old stuff or the copies of your foreign transcripts. So I hope that helps. Don't be afraid if you don't find them. We have alternatives.
I'll take the next question. I think we already talked about the FCC credentialing from Kathleen, but in a different question. But she did ask, the 8 hour a week is pretty flexible. Absolutely. If you don't feel like you have time Monday through Friday to complete your work, you can work on the weekend and complete your work then. So it's very flexible. It's on your own time. But when I say, you have 1 week, typically my class, I allow 10 days for each unit. And so then you're going to have a few days that overlap with each other, different units. I open 2 at a time. So that way, if you have more time, one unit are going to be, or 1 week and you're going to be gone the next, then it allows for a little bit more flexibility that way. But most of our classes run on a 1 week basis. We know all of our learners in our program have lives outside of the program. So we are adaptable. If you have a wedding, we will let you work ahead or get your work done when you come back. We're used to that, believe me. We've been doing this for 18 years. So we can be very flexible that way. You just need to have consistent communication with your instructor. And that's one thing I really pride myself on within this program. We are a real program. This is not some exaggerated CEU program where you're going to go in and listen to a lecture and take a multiple choice quiz. Or, our instructors are engaged and they're ready, they're available to you. I'm available. Mainly we communicate via email or within the learning management system, but we have Zoom meetings with our students as well. If you really feel like you need to talk one-on-one, we're available there. So we all have that flexibility for you as well.
And I'll just follow up on that too. I think that's a really good point. As far as flexibility, and I mean, we're realistic with this program, and we can beat up the entry level DPT kids that are here on our campus and try to weed them out and be tough with them. And again, this is rigorous in the transitional program, but we understand that school probably is not your number one priority. You have a career, you have family, you have your own well-being. So we understand that this may come, maybe third, fourth in your weekly priorities. And again, it needs to be a priority at some point, but nonetheless, it's not something where we're beating you up with it. It is really quite realistic for an adult, busy person.
And Jesus asks, I use the Apple platform, Mac, iPad. Yes, that is supported. Absolutely. I think almost all of my, well, a lot of my students in class, we use the same LMS Brightspace platform, and they all have iPads in class. Not all of them, but a lot of them do. So, yep, I know it works well. So,
And good
worth trying.
point. Yeah, the stuff is web-based. So, the LMS, the Brightspace learning platform system, you can log into that from your computer at work if it allows you to. Again, from home, from your iPad, from all those different uh, devices, basically. So being
Yeah.
web-based makes it open to Mac or whatever, regular computer.
I think I can take this next one, Permisha. Is that something, a question about there's 16 credits for the course, and in a regular graduate program, students will take up 6 to 8. Actually, I've been to 3 graduate schools, so I know this. Full time in a graduate program is 9 credits. This is this is for the working clinician, and so we typically recommend 2 to 3 credits per semester. If you are not working full time, then some students will take up to 2 classes a semester. We've had people who are not working at all and have taken 3 classes a semester, but that is like a full-time job. If you take 8 times 3, there you are, 24 credits already. So, or sorry, 24 hours a week. So, it's not really recommended to take that many classes. So really, this program, the way we say 1 class a semester, is for those who are working full time. If you're not working full time, there is an option to take more than one a semester. I will say we've had too many students try to say, "Oh, I can do it. I'm working full time. I have a family, but I think I can take 2 classes a semester." And I will say it doesn't work out very well. Not all the time, but there's been just a hand. We want it to work out well for everyone all the time. And so those situations, they get to my heart and I feel bad. So I just have strong recommendation. If you're working full time, I strongly recommend to take 1 class a semester if you have a life outside of that. So I'll leave it there. So it is different that way because it is designed for the working practitioner, unlike other graduate programs that are, you're in class full time.
Good call. And two, I think I always like to say, we want you to be successful, but we also want you to have a good experience. And, even those folks that maybe overdo it and are successful with it, might leave here saying, but that kind of stunk. And we don't want that to happen. We want this to be a good, positive experience. And again, for you to get a lot out of it professionally. And I have a question here. Ask about foreign transcripts. Do they have to be sent directly from the graduate college? Or can we send ourselves? And you may send yourself. So when you have graduated from a foreign college outside the United States, you do not have to contact them and have them sent here. Copies would be sufficient, and or that FCCPT evaluation, obviously, with the translation of those would be sufficient as well. Someone asked for a link to the application. I will send that out after the session for sure.
Yeah, so Kathleen just remarked something about, yep, it is a challenge when you haven't been in school. You are not alone. I will say the majority of our students have been out of school for some time. I think I call her our youngest student was around 78 when she joined the program. So if you think you have been out of school for a while, I'll have you talk to Joan Bomert. I just saw her this past weekend, actually. She is, I think she's 83 or 84 now, and she comes to all of our state sessions. She is amazing. But she just graduated. I think she was 81 or 80. I must have been 80 when she graduated.
Yeah.
Just so if you want to have some inspiration, she's probably our youngest student we've had, but we've had many, some people who are retired and they would just want to end their life with this degree, some who are ending near retirement, and that this is just they want to go out with a big boom and make sure they end up on top. So we've had quite a variety of students in our program. So I agree, never too late for this. I agree with you, Kathleen.
Yeah, out of school 20 years will definitely not make you the oldest person in your classes. That's for
No,
sure.
no,
I mean,
yeah,
it's been
yeah.
DPT now for, 10, 15 years at most schools. So, or 15 years plus. So, you know, I always like to say everyone's old in this program. Um, but
Because I'm in it.
yeah, but I mean, and Dr. Oxen, you probably agree with me. I take our classes here in some other areas. I didn't grow up with computers. I didn't grow up with online learning. I take our stuff and I don't know. I think it's great, and it's easy for me to say, but it's engaging. It's easy to navigate. A lot of times I feel more connected in our online classes than I did back in the day because you'd have those students that could be the wallflower, that could hang out and not talk in the back of class. Whereas now the system, with our online discussions, it draws something out of everybody. Everybody's got to pitch in. And, I really like the engagement in the online platform. Plus everyone, in this program, so unique. Everyone's a PT. So you're with your own in this.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I think the other great thing about St. Scholastica that I have loved, I've really appreciated, is that because we're so small, I know our IT folks. So if I have a question on how I can do better with my online teaching, or I'm having a little bit of a hiccup with something, they're right there to help me. Actually, they have office hours Monday through Friday, every day at 8. So I will meet with them to figure those things out and help my adjuncts as well. That just to make the best program that we have, to make it engaging, like you said, Chad. And I'm using my online techniques now with my in-class because, like you said, I want to engage all of those who are sitting in the back row corners. And so that's my way to do it, is to do more online learning because that's my only way to know what they're really thinking.
It's like questions are slowing down just a little bit here. Uh, yeah, we won't sit and mill for too long. Give it another minute here if anybody wants to type in. If not, we'll let you go a little bit early. Again, feel free to connect with me. If you guys are engaged in your local PT state association section meetings, a lot of times I'm present at those, so come find me, come see me. I'm engaged on the worldwide platform. I'll be at the World Congress of PT in Tokyo next month. So do connect with me in person if we should, happen to cross paths.
Yeah, and Pramisha had said something about, our kind of our stories of our alumni. Do go to our Facebook page if you're on Facebook, but there's several stories there. So that's kind of where we highlight some of our graduate work. I have remember Mike Studer. Mike Studer's he went through our program. He's actually going to be presenting with me at CSM. Another past student, we published an article together, and we're also maybe presenting at CSM together. There's all kinds of relationships and things that come out of this program for sure. And so I would visit our Facebook page kind of more for current updates that way.
Good. We'll give it just another minute here.
Thank you all for attending tonight.
Yeah, very cool.
I really appreciated these great questions and engaging conversation, even though it was kind of, with questions, but
Those questions kind of get us riled up, don't they,
oh,
Dr.
I know
Austin?
it's good. I always
We
make
get
sure I can answer
excited.
them all. Yeah. And then this is our lift bridge in Duluth. So it's on this, we're on the tip of Lake Superior. So if you're wondering what my background is, this is our hometown. Just love it. It's such a beautiful city to be in. A little cold. That's why I have my vest on tonight. But yeah,
Indeed. All
well,
right, it
good.
looks
Well,
like,
thank you, everyone.
yeah, thanks a lot, everyone. Connect with me if you need to. Otherwise, we'll let you guys go and we'll be in touch.
All right. Thank you, Chad.
Thank you, Dr. Oxton. Bye bye,
Have a good
everyone.
night.